G'day! So just yesterday I went to my local e-waste recycler and dropped off a whole bunch of dead various components, be it laptops, monitors, ancient desktops that are no longer worth doing anything with. And while I was out there, I needed to upgrade an AM3 Plus system. I was hoping to be able to pick up a Thenom 2, hopefully potentially an FX 8120, something around that performance. The way this particular recycler though, they stored all their processes in a big bag. By a big bag I mean something similar to, might be like a 20 kilo dog bag, a bit of a different variety of material. So all the processes are getting dumped in there. And once I was digging through there, I came to a bit of a realization about the AM4 platform and finding second-hand components for them, especially at stuff like these recyclers. So the recyclers themselves had a lot of older Intel chips, up to about the 7th gen, potentially 8th generation, but most of them were 2nd generation Intel chips. And with those, they are of the, I believe it's the PGA ball grid array, and as you can see on that, it is a dead smooth item. You can see some capacitors and various other chips in the middle there, but the chip itself is smooth, as opposed to something like an AMD processor, which is a FGA, I believe, if I'm using the terminology correctly right there, and if I can get it to focus, which I'll struggle to, because you have a look, we have one with lots of little pins and another one with no pins. And virtually every single processor I saw in that collection, these pins were completely smashed. What's that mean? So as I'm digging through this bag of ancient Intel processors, essentially from Pentium, first generation Pentiums, all the way up to about 8th generation Intels, I can almost guarantee that no matter what I picked out of there, it was going to work. Of that bag, maybe 5% or less were AMD processors, and all of them that I saw had bent pins. So basically what I see in the future is, when AM4 ends up getting fairly ancient, and you go out to the local recycler to find some processors, unless they're stored well, you're virtually not going to be able to get a good one in good condition, unless they're stored well. You may be able to potentially get a motherboard out of there because it doesn't have the pins on it, because that inserts and then closes. Granted, finding an older Intel board is still probably okay because the actual cage itself usually protects it. So if you have a look at an Intel board, the pins are down here, you've got the socket above it, and then you've got everything else above it. So if you stack them, those pins usually don't get touched. Where on an AMD board, that's going to be very much the same. So weirdly enough, I'm looking forward to finding in the future AM5 boards or AM5 processors similar to these ones, older Intel, and still be able to use them in the future with them being stored incorrectly. So I find as boards get older, usually they start failing. As processors get older, they rarely start to fail. So hopefully with the AM5 socket in the future, I'll be able to find a few more second-hand processors that have been stored incorrectly, that are still usable, rather than just almost instant e-waste for resources, like the AM3 or AM2, 3s and 4s. So one little thing I overlooked at the time, which I'm now seeing one major flaw. Anyway, that will do for today, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.